Good morning, good night. Was about 10, lightning crashing away outside. Building had huge glass windows, letting the bloody light spook the whole place out. Time to test my theory, that it was safer in this tower than anywhere else. Figured that I could climb the thing, but zombies couldn't, so if the mist was making them travel from elsewhere to find me, they'd be flummoxed down in the lobby while I kicked it back in the penthouse suite. Well, we weren't quite there yet. Instead, I was picking myself up from the sticky tiles of a decaying office kitchen, stalking around the windows with shotgun in hand. Could vaguely hear activity below. Just needed to know whether it was anything to actually worry about. Ended up climbing down the collapsed rubble I'd ascended earlier, putting me in a conference room with a hole in the wall. Outside was the balcony where those military guys had harassed me, and here I encountered my first issue. They were still there. Yes, I had definitely sent them tumbling to the street before, yet here they were, sleeping peacefully at their posts. Dutiful soldiers, huh? So that meant the buggers had managed to climb this far up at least. Not safe yet. At least now I had the shotgun to put them down quickly. Could have just left, but I wanted that balcony for myself, as the soldiers themselves had likely realized in their distant cognitive lives. It had a great view of the tower's entrance and the main street below. Sure enough, zombies were making a show of themselves at ground level. Some were pounding on the concrete walls to get in. Others were walking back and forth. They were the dumb ones, as the building had no front door. Confirmed that others were a little more resourceful when I patrolled around and came across a gap in the floor. It looked down into the lobby. Zombies were trying to get up the stairs and were clawing their way up support pillars to reach the galleria overlooking the main space. From there, the same route I'd taken could get them to me, but I suppose the scent trail or whatever hadn't been laid yet, as they just scouted around and left my view. I went back to the kitchen and retrieved the bow and arrow set. Was tired of carrying it around, so decided to waste some arrows trying to shoot the invaders below. Actually killed a few, or made them fall over, ready to crawl off the second I looked away. I knew how it was by then. And yeah, the red mist definitely got inside the building. You could just about see it in the air down the long views across the open landing. Meant that once their bodies were in here, I might be stuck dealing with them. Best to keep them on the lower levels. Obviously I was worried the zombies would use the makeshift repairs I'd made in the stairwell to come find me. Yep. When I went to said stairs, they had just about sussed it out. Eager to keep my dream of staying high and dry alive, I actually went down with the shotgun and 2 pockets full of shells to start culling any wanderers who found the stairs. Was thinking that if I could put them off enough, they might not try heading up. No pheromone trail or whatever. Did they work like ants? Still waiting on that textbook from Hassan with the finer details, huh? Now there's a thought to make you mad. Got me real off balance. Got me in real trouble. During my defense of the stairs, they came at me faster than I could reload that shotgun, especially after it got hot. Ended up scratched and punched as I scrambled away, dropping some of my shells and almost the whole gun. Probably would have dived into the melee to retrieve it, thinking I was a hero. We're in this together, Mr. Shotgun. Escaped, of course, but felt pretty beat up. The fight smashed my gangplanks enough that the zombies didn't follow me. Should have thought of that before, huh? Boarded up the kitchen and waited the rest of the night out, feeling sorry for myself. Hey, I think it was deserved. New plan, just go up. Thought the higher I got, the safer I'd be. Didn't realize how packed to the brim the whole tower was with former humans who might have thought the same. Intact stairs took me up a level around 6 in the morning, with the windows back to broadcasting glorious sunshine. Plant level, packed with maintenance, utilities, construction stuff, and more importantly, half of the local plumbers union. Absolutely lit the place up with constant shooting. Had more than 100 shells, enough for the whole building? Must have run through 30 just on that floor. No major incidents though. That red mist really didn't hang around when it got light, and the zombies were delightfully dull and clumsy. Just a case of calmly walking around, putting them down in a business-like fashion. Found a little service elevator that went to the next floor. No elevator, but a ladder this time. Next level was a gym, nice and breezy with big windows. Really hit the jackpot here. Was going about my business, pest eradication, when I finally met someone who had actually prepared for the worst up here. One of the ladies was packing a handgun in her waistband and a load of magazines. Bacteria got to her before she had a chance to use it, huh? Better to not think about that. She also had a case of shotgun shells and serious military-grade boots that fit me nice. Merry Christmas. But that's not even the good part. This gym had a swimming pool, pretty much full up with sparkling blue water. Was beside a long wall of windows, and the shorter side was lit up by a huge hole. Half open air, half indoor, perfect for the relentless rise in heat as the morning progressed. And the water, it was just lovely. Well, it was for the first couple of minutes. The real use for the thing was to A. wash myself, and B. wash all my clothes. This rapidly stained the water blood red. Artistic, I think. You only bathe once, I sang to myself. Lifted my mood, all this. I was about to have my own tower block with a pool. Sweet. Saw the plane through the hole in the wall. Dropped something way out north, barely visible. Lost track of me. Was almost past caring. Ended up laying beside the pool for a nap while my stuff dried in the breeze. The cold steel of the pistol lying on my stomach. Pool air was sweet to breathe. Reminds me of one of the underappreciated pleasures of the fall of civilization. Mosquitoes died off too, as far as I could tell. Bet the things were somehow behind spreading it. Too bad, they would have loved this gradually stagnating pool, especially with its new garnish of bodily fluids. Late afternoon I sauntered out of the pool, nice and relaxed, straight into the most excruciating pain of my life. This adventure started well enough. Found an open stairwell that took me up another level. Near the doors upstairs there was a large office with glass walls. Saw a massive pile of military gear inside. Oh yes, the motherlode. Well, while I didn't think for a second that it was too good to be true, it was. I stepped in through the open door, then fell through an increasingly open floor. No accident, no time to think about it. I landed on solid ground, hearing a nice crack from my left leg. It was a dim room with a horrid stench, and quickly a horrid sound. There were zombies against every wall that came at me all at once, more than I'd ever seen together. Span around, blasting the pistol, killing none and getting nowhere. Would have been dead, or deader, or undead, or whatever, if it wasn't for a pile of junk against the wall that got me up high enough to grab an air conditioning duct, which itself passed out through a gap in the wall to the hallway beside the pool. Whole thing took about 4 seconds, but left me with a fractured leg, a bleeding shoulder, and some bruises yet to come. Zombies didn't like to see me leave, so busted out of the room's boarded up door with furious energy. This pushed them below me. I was still lying on top of the air vent, hanging from the ceiling above the hall. Let loose with the shotgun and got a couple. Didn't have long enough to get them all, as they were on a mission. They went right for the stairwell I'd used and went upstairs. Suddenly it was quiet again. Realized I was bleeding and got bandages and antibiotic pills from my bag. Seemed safe on my perch so I could bind myself up. The leg, throbbing and burning, didn't have an easy fix. A problem. A big problem actually. Pretty sure you can manage to die of the various complications a leg fracture brings if your only treatment is to rub it better. I needed help, and the only thing close to that I'd gotten so far was the advice of Bibi Hassan to eat a jar of honey when things went wrong. Well, I was never going to visit them in 100 Acre Wood if I didn't try. Had 2 jars at the ready in my bag. Got to work. You know what? The human body doesn't actually enjoy eating a whole jar of honey. It gets less Moorish the more you glob in your mouth. And that's where the second bit of handy advice came in. Don't be sick. All in all, my time up on the air vent was a success, and I came away alive, for better or worse. I ended up climbing down the junk in the trap room to escape. One zombie was still there, before the pistol had its say on the matter. Think I figured out what was going on here. Those army types had made some kind of fake safe zone and lured civilians into the room, then locked them in. Fake ceiling to catch stragglers. Fly trap to stop uninfected people getting further up the tower, perhaps. If so, it failed, since they just broke out and ran up the stairs. Could be the last thought in their living minds manifesting. Must have been some rumor that the tower was the place to be. Zombies on the ground, tower in the sky? Gotta be a good call. Walking on a broken leg didn't make it feel so simple, but I was still as determined as they were. Was about to go back up the stairs when the escapee crew tumbled into the trap room again. Old habits die harder when you're a zombie. Ended up sitting on a windowsill just outside the room and plugging them all in the head as they came back out. Easy enough. Hard part was crawling up the stairs on an unwilling leg. I had to do it though. Why? To win. I went straight back to the office with the military stuff, now across a chasm of broken floor. Like a snail, I crept around the wall, climbing over furniture and clinging to window handles. I got to the pile. Was ready for my flamethrower, but I guess if you're setting up a trap, might as well have the bait be fake, eh? The heavy-duty crates were almost empty. A few scraps I guess they couldn't carry, just bullets. Which I couldn't really carry myself, seeing as I was collecting them in breakfast cereal bags like a madman. Mine now. I win? Orange light was blinding me through the big office windows. It was bedtime. Hospital bedtime, preferably. Thought about going back to the pool, then saw a collapsed floor that led to the next level, another diner, just like my previous hideout. Too hurt to sleep for a while anyway. Red 50s themed place it was, quite popular with the undead clientele. Had no problems just blowing them away with the shotgun, lightening my load and taking my mind off things. Found the kitchen and sat down for the night. The place wrapped around a large central room, which I eventually worked out was a walk-in freezer. It was still working. Ready to hit the food jackpot, I opened the door. Good that I was paranoid enough to be holding the loaded shotgun as I did so, because the food inside was so fresh that it came right out to introduce itself. 3 massive lads in outdoorsman gear tackled the door wide open and stomped through the kitchen. Faster than the usual peons, and I was practically just hopping. Couldn't put any distance between us, so just unloaded the shotgun. The place was cramped enough that knocking the first dude over tangled up the other 2. Their limbs were frozen, quite inflexible, and they really couldn't find a way to pass by each other. Good. Had live shells for them all, and dinner was served. The freezer was empty, by the way. It wasn't entirely for nothing though, as after I settled in I decided to search the blue bodies for gear. Came away with a folded up piece of paper carrying an interesting note. CJ's been listening in. Army aren't here to stop it. World's gone and we're just cattle. They're looking for something, and they'll kill anyone who ain't it. We're meeting at the bunkhouse, forting up. Army want the tower, and they can have it. Get here fast, and don't leave any guns behind. And don't get infected. There's no cure. They know it too. No signature. CJ. Crazy Jake. Guessing none of these guys were him. Synced up with some of the messages I'd spied on back in the motel about people fleeing the city to avoid the army. Made no sense to me back then. Starting to get the bigger picture now. Poked around the kitchen and found a working hot plate. Pulled up a chair and ate everything I could, looking out the window at the city below. Motionless, mostly dark. Kitchen was light enough, so anyone looking back might have seen me. Down there, Crazy Jake? Sorry about your friend. A misunderstanding. Ended up grabbing some soft furnishing from the diner space and making a bed in the kitchen. Painkillers, double dose, and before I knew it, I actually fell asleep. A nice surprise would be waiting for me in the morning. A fuel tanker pulled into the hangar. The soldiers waved it over to the greasy valve on the underground storage tank, then got to work. The driver got out and came to mingle with them. "Is this it?" a soldier said. "Yeah," the driver shrugged. "No use complaining to me about it." "It's half empty." "Half full." "Who's your commanding officer?" "Just a driver, soldier." "Who'd you kill to get that job?" "They were dead before I got here." Bah. The soldier waved the driver off and joined his comrades in performing a chorus of offensive gestures. The driver returned to the cab and found a man with a decorated uniform sitting there. He waved her in. "Hassan, let's not waste any time," he said. He produced a creased page from his jacket pocket. It was a handwritten note. "You're saving lives. You have to stay," he read.
"Colonel, he has to know,"
Hassan protested.
"He's hopeless. We owe him, don't we? He has to know there's some good in this."
"If he knows he can't leave, he'll screw it up like the rest. We need him on our side. That means we say nothing until we know everything there is to know about his strain. Not a usual case, ma'am, and I ain't planning on losing any more sleep than is constitutionally necessary, alright?"
"Sir, we could at least tell him about his role. We could get more data, better data, if he was helping us."
"You can't predict how he'll react to such radical information. Dumb subject's a sane subject. Hogland knew too much, and cost us a real promising strain. This guy's even better, so we need the natural course and nothing else."
"Sir, he has a right."
"You've already overstepped your bounds, ma'am. All communications go through me, and there's nothing this country needs that guy to know right now. That subject was a God-given miracle, a data point like nothing else, and you nearly invalidated this critical experiment. Who knows how many the Russians already got? He doesn't need to know anything, and he don't need any more help from us other than what keeps him close to alive. That's the whole point, ma'am. Now the next point. You broke protocol, risking the entire future of humanity."
"Don't be so grand."
"I ain't aggrandizing a single damn thing. Look, let's cut to the rutting. I'm having you transferred."
"Just like that, sir?"
"Just like that. We'll have someone from Eastcom handle the drops. Pack up and be ready for a truck ride tomorrow."
"Yes, sir,"
Hassan nodded, sliding back out of the cab.
"Try and find a way to save him, please, sir."
The colonel leant over and closed the door without replying. Hassan looked over at the silver plane resting beside them in the hangar. She tried to remember which other infection zones were running aerial supply drops. She might end up transferred to Canada. Accelerant mist could be used in the daytime there, thanks to the cold. Led to some serious fighting, after which the ground was so contaminated with the Diomedian bacteria that the infection zone tripled in size. There was a research command with a dropping program in the northwest too, although rumour had it that the living subjects had tried to escape, according to the colonel. No news came after that, and with communication lines as sketchy as they were, no news was always bad news for everyone. She listened to the soldiers chatting. "We went over in the car. Route through the minefield was blocked by some trees or something, and they got Harris to do something about it. He got a splinter or something, only tiny, and ended up with a shriveled arm because of the drugs or something they had him on afterwards. Crazy, and they don't even have proof it spreads like that." "Just leave that out, alright? Did you make it to Cobberman?" "Yeah, I was gonna say. Whole road and whole area was quiet as anything. No sign of the enemy. Town was cleared too. It's working, man. Cobberman still has his thumb up." "Nice. Still got it in him. Crazy POS. We just logged the whole place and then got back before we messed it up or something. Nice readings apparently. S-Man wanted to go way further, he was saying. Think he wanted to look at this tower we've got the Vector holed up in or something. You close up the route? You tie your shoes this morning? Get off my back. You'd have probably left it wide open and killed us all or something. Sure we'd die. Sure you would. Amen to that, brother." Hassan looked at the back of the hangar where the supply crates were stacked. They were being sent out left to right. How many more would they check for notes? Hassan glanced back at the mirror of the truck cab and saw the colonel talking into the radio with furrowed brow. Hassan pulled an old dollar bill from her shoe and slid out the pencil resting on her ear. No way those troops were going to be thorough. Maybe telling the subject anything really would send him over the edge. Could at least tell him to prepare for what was coming. He had a right to know how bad it was going to get.